everyone. I know I'm normally here in the morning, but it's evening tonight, so I hope you can see the cards okay. I'm going to do a reading today called Your Love Story. So we're going to have a look at your love story from the moment that you fall in love and then until you die, because it would be nice to still be holding hands with somebody when we're decrepit. So I'm going to have a look at that. That's what I'm going to do today. So if you want to take your choice, then we'll get started. You've got pile number 1, pile number 2 and pile number 3, and we'll just get going as soon as you're ready.
La música de Harry Fraud.
Right, hi there, pile number 1. What we've got here is we've got 3 main cards that are based on myths or legends, or basically based on lots of things that I can't pronounce. And then we've got a few cards over each of the main pictures to give a little bit more information. And we're going to start sort of threading our way through to see the development of your love story. So let's just say, you're really old on your deathbed and you're talking to your grandchildren about your love life. This is a type of thing that you would possibly be pulling out, maybe. Right, your first card is Temptation. So Temptation is the story of Pablo and Francesca, and Francesca is married off to somebody called Giovanni, and she's in love with his brother. So it's almost like the beginning of a relationship that is not doomed but hard, as in there's restrictions there, there's affection there that can't be shown for some reason. So that's the feeling I'm getting from the very beginning. Something that it was the story behind Dante's Divine Comedy. It just gives me a feeling of something that can't be expressed. And you've got 2 really cracking cards on here. You've got the Tower and you've got the Ten of Swords. So to me, these are really strong. Crikey, I don't know how to actually interpret this. The Tower and the Ten of Swords on a love that can't be expressed. So there's definitely a huge depth of feeling, and to me it makes me think that if you express these feelings openly, it could have quite a dramatic impact on your life or the other person's life. So if this isn't you, I suggest you probably pick pile 2 or 3, because those cards are intense. It almost makes me feel, I know this is the second card, that Romeo and Juliet feeling of like a political love that can't actually be expressed, it would just break up families. It's that type of feeling, and those are huge cards. It's as if you step over the line and your lives would explode. I can't really say that any other way. I can put some cards at the end to sort of get a little bit more of an idea. Now, this love story doesn't have to be the chapter in your life like the next 5 years or 2 years or month. It can be, you will probably know because you will feel which bits apply to you. So your second card is Tradition, which is the story of Romeo and Juliet. So that to me is a story. Excuse me. I'm so excited. If this is the beginning of the story where it's a relationship that's got a magnetic pull, you just can't express it. It progresses, or if progression is the right word, into a very similar situation where there's still that, it's as if this relationship carries on a long time without expression, because it runs straight into Romeo and Juliet, where there's that political reason they can't actually be together. Structure and conformity. It's quite contentious. Right, okay. And this relationship makes me think that the more masculine figure, or the male figure in this relationship, is quite a macho person, or a person of authority, or somebody that's known in the business world, or somebody who's very in charge of themselves. And it's almost as if this relationship progresses here with this sort of sneaky card into something that may be a little bit backdoor man. And I don't mean that backdoor man is in the rude sense backdoor man, but in the sense of something going on below the surface. So it's almost as if the relationship is almost very compelling. It's very compelling, and then it goes on where you're both trying to play the moral game and do the correct thing, and then it just becomes so overwhelming that it actually turns into, I'm going to say, an affair. So if this isn't you, because this is quite straightforward to me, it may be a good idea just to look at pile number 2 and pile number 3. Right, and the final card is the story of Dido. So Dido is the lady walking along the beach. This is quite a love story. The lady walking along the beach, and she falls in love with the soldier whose name I can't pronounce because it sounds like anus when I say it. And he goes off to battle, and he's basically, his lifelong ambition is to go and be a soldier in Troy. I didn't say that very well. And so what she does is she builds her funeral. This is really quite a morbid end card here. She builds her funeral pyre because she's so overwhelmed by the circumstances. Oh my gosh. Okay, right. This, crikey. This is a story of forbidden love, and there's no other way around it. It makes me think of people who are meant to go through a situation together, and the relationship is meant to be, but it's not allowed. It's not allowed because you're probably in relationships already, or it's just not the correct thing to do. But the passion, is intense. The relationship is intense, and it's hidden because you're both trying to do the correct thing. And then it almost gets to the point where you're wondering who you're kidding in the end. It'll get to the point where it goes on so long you think, well, I've got a life to live, and this pull is so strong, and you don't get this in every lifetime. You don't feel like you get this in every lifetime. So you end up having an affair or something that doesn't feel correct morally, but it's almost as if there's no option. Because you played with the ideas that actually, it's almost as if you played with the ideas of saying no until you actually become almost numb to it. I don't know how to explain that. It's almost as if you've been in a situation so long that you don't know what's right or wrong because it feels so right. And then you go ahead with it, and then your world falls apart, as you knew would happen all along, but it's almost as if it was the correct thing to do. Because there's these 2 cards at the end, and this is the Tower card. This Queen Dido on the beach, an old anus and his sailing off here, is the Tower card. And then you've got almost as if everything collapses, everything that you've built your life on, your ego, your house, is almost as if it just, you have to start off a new person, but it's as if by starting off a new person, it's like a rebirth in some way, because there's like happiness, there's joy, there's self-satisfied. These 2 cards together, self-satisfied, lady in her garden, self-satisfied, independence, financial stability, and then this is just emotional being satisfied. Sorry. That's a really tough spread. Let me just put a few more cards on that. I said I wasn't going to myself because I keep thinking if you've got a story behind it and you've got the beginning, the middle and the end, then a few cards should give you a little bit of a story, but I'm so nosy. It's almost as if you're in a situation where you're helping each other. There's some connection where you actually make each other feel good, and there's a connection, maybe a work connection, or there's some communication where when you get together it just feels right, but it's almost as if it feels right on 2 levels. There's like a passionate level and there's like a work level where you're actually working together on something, or it just feels quite practical, quite down to earth, but there's something else nipping away underneath probably. The Chariot to me speaks here of getting carried away with the feelings that you've almost denied yourself for quite a long time, and then your world fall apart, but it's almost as if it's for the better. Right, I'm going to stop there, pile number 1, because I can't actually put more on that. I think to me that feels quite clear. Quite hard cards there. Right, pile number 1. I'm going to stop there. I hope that, I don't know if that helps you in any way, but I don't know if it makes you think differently in some way or other. Because it's like a love that won't go away. And in the end, you almost give into it because you think, well, you're meant to be together if it's carried on that long and you've thought about. It's not like falling in bed with each other after a good night out. It's something that's dragged on a long time and been very intense. And then it's almost as if you know what you're going to do now already. If this is happening now, you know which way it's going. You're just fighting it at the moment. Right, pile number 1. I'm going to finish there. Thank you very much for, well, I feel like I should say sorry because that was quite hard. But thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you again. Bye. Right, pile number 2. I quite like this one. I don't know if I get the names right, but I can tell you the storyline I'm thinking of. Let me just put some extra cards and it might all change. Right, okay, I'm going to tell you what I'm thinking and I'm going to walk myself through the cards. I'm thinking of somebody who at the moment is quite stable, basically ticking along is what I'm thinking. Somebody who's quite involved with themselves, perhaps involved with work or just enjoying themselves where they are at this moment. And then it's as if you fall in love, head over heels in love, and you'll think you're going along the right track and then something happens and then I'll get to the end card at the end. So your first card here is the card of contemplation, which is a story of a theologian called Peter. There's a second name, but I can't pronounce it, so I didn't even write it down, so I can't remember it. But this theologian's name is Peter, and he falls in love with somebody called Eloise, but he's almost as if he's pushing boundaries already before he falls in love because he's having to answer to the church and he's putting down some, what I would say, slightly sacrilegious things and bending towards a more pagan religion, I suppose. But the biggest scandal is he falls in love with Eloise rather than the fact that he's a pagan and he's going against the church. And sorry, I'm rambling here. This love is forbidden. So to me, it makes me think of somebody who's ticking along, because you've got this card here of stability. You've got this card which makes me think of youth and just somebody who's quite studious. I don't know whether you're in college or whether you're in university or whether you're just quite happy with who you are and where you are at the moment. You may live with your parents or you may be just settling into a house. But there's somebody who makes me feel who's quite philosophical and quite engrossed themselves in the best way, as if you've got hobbies going, you're just happy who you are and where you are at the moment. And then it changes. This card here is, I can't pronounce his name. This is the card of Princess, I want to say Ariande, but it's not, because I'm just so, I don't know, I'm not very good at myths. It's Ariadne, and she falls in love with somebody called, I can't pronounce these names, Theseus. Anyway, she falls in love with this man and he teaches her how to get away from the Minotaur through the labyrinth by holding a piece of golden string. It's a bit of a Hansel and Gretel story. She falls madly in love with him and thinks this is the man. So this could be your story. You could be really happy with yourself, find this person, fall madly in love and think this is it. And then basically he doesn't reciprocate. I'm not very good with stories, am I? He doesn't reciprocate the love as much as she would want, and she thinks it's the end of the world. So this is where it gets exciting, because you've got that feeling of stability with the Ten of Pentacles. So you could actually be married or very secure with this person. And then the Five of Swords makes me think that there's a battle and nobody wins. So it's as if you fall in love with somebody and you're quite happy with them after a period of being on your own and you think this is the person, and then along comes somebody else. Are you ready for this next one? Dionysus. Oh, I can't say it. Dionysus. Anyway, along comes this really handsome Dionysus, and this is the person that she's meant to be with. And he adores her for exactly who she is, for her bravery. And they fall in love. So this is making me think of a story that starts off quite independent, quite happy, quite stable, quite youthful, possibly met when you're young, maybe, I don't know, and then you fall in love with somebody, maybe from your youth. It could be a childhood sweetheart. You're settled, you're happy, and then something changes. It's almost as if you have, what I'm going to say is your second wind, but it's a little bit more than second wind, because your last card is the card of Pluto, of transformation. And as you probably know already, I'm not so hot at doing these myth cards, but I thought I'd try something different. And I was going to tell you the story of Pluto and Demeter, because I can't even say the names, going underground. But all I can think of is Kylie Minogue and Michael Hutchinson. So this is what happens. You know, when Kylie Minogue met Michael Hutchinson, it's almost as if she was like the queen of pop, and very sweet and very lovely, and then she met this sort of drug-taking, or I suppose very sexual, different type of, I'm going to say rough guy. I'm not saying he is rough, but that was not the image that she was trying to portray at the time. So it's almost as if you meet somebody who's totally different from the person that you initially fell in love with, maybe your early love. And then this person wakes you up and makes you into somebody new, somebody bigger, more confident, and there's definitely a real sexual awakening with Pluto and the Ace of Wands here. It's as if you've never had sex like you have in this relationship compared to it's almost like the last relationship was a bit like play school, and the bond is intense. Right then, pile. I'm going to go over that again for you, pile number 2, because I am stumbling with these myths because I can't remember names at all, but I can get a general feeling. Okay, so your love story starts off with a real sense of reflection and innocence and stability, where you're quite happy in yourself, you're very happy with who you are. It then moves on to falling for somebody who you possibly work with, because there's a real sort of a feeling of camaraderie where one's helping the other out, and there's stability here, but it's almost as if it's not going to, don't take this as, as gospel at all, because I'm not saying this will happen, it's just a story, but it's almost as if it doesn't carry on, and then you're heartbroken, you think you thought it was going to be the one, and then without even suspecting it, in comes this person who blows your world apart. So this second person comes into your life and blows your world apart, and it's like this is the Jupiter card. It's almost as if you've met somebody you never thought you'd meet, maybe the type of person who wouldn't normally catch your eye. It's just somebody who you've fallen head over heels for, and they are darker or more intense or just different. And you feel like you are being pulled through a hedge backwards. It's almost like blinded by love. And there's a real strong sexual pull. You've got Pluto here. It's Scorpio. It's the underworld, it's sex. And it's, to me, it's transformation. Or it is transformation because I just read it. It's transformation. Right, pile number. Let me put some more cards out. So innocence, youth, falling in love, being in love, thinking this is the one, transformation, and then it's like being introduced. It's like coming out of a playground into an orgy. It's that type of feeling where your innocence is lost, and you're thankful that it has been lost in some way, because it's like an awakening. It's like definitely a very strong sexual ending to here. To this pile here. Let me just put some more cards out. I wonder whether you work with this person again, because you've got the Hierophant card, you've got the Ace of Wands twice, there's a real sexual attraction, and the Eight of Pentacles again is a work card. So this very much could be a school or work feeling here, of you already being with somebody, or you may in the future meet with somebody, and perhaps have a boyfriend or a girlfriend on the back burner, and then think that's the one, and you're sort of planning things in the back of your head, and then you meet this somebody else you never thought was going to come your way, and it just basically blows your pants off. It's just a real game changer. Right, I'm going to finish there, pile 2. I hope that makes sense to you. I'd like to apologise for my lack of mythical knowledge, and I would like to also apologise for my inability to actually pronounce something correctly, anything correctly, but I was trying really hard. Thank you very much, pile number 2, and I hope to see you again. Bye. Okay, pile number 3. I've learnt my lesson from the other 2 piles not to go very deeply into myths because I can't actually pronounce names and I'm absolutely rubbish with myths. But let's go and I will give you an impression of what I'm picking up, which is probably more use to you than me trying to pretend I know everything.
La música de Harry Frog.
Right, I'm going to go through this one because I'm not too sure, to be honest, until I go through the cards. This is the beginning of your love story. So this is the story, the Justice card of Odysseus. There you go. So I've told you I'm not very good at pronouncing them. And he leaves Penelope for something like 10 years, who is his wife or girlfriend, whatever, I don't really know. So she's left on this island, I think it's like Naxos, and he goes off to whatever he's doing. He goes off to war, I'm assuming, and leaves her with lots of people trying to make advances on her. So I'm thinking this possibly could be you, and then you may be separated from somebody you have having a relationship with or fallen for. And the Lover's card here makes me think that either you are very attractive or a lot of people do actually make advances towards you. I don't know whether it's in a work situation or something quite stable because you've got the Hierophant next to Lovers. So I don't know whether you have feelings for somebody and there's distance, but you're maybe with somebody already, or there's lots of people after you. That's what the story of Penelope is telling me with the Lovers and the Hierophant card here. Somebody you may have had a sexual relationship with or that you're drawn towards. Or you could have a crush on a married man or woman. Don't know. I'm going to keep going. That's what I'm picking up from the very beginning. Somebody who is on their own, mentally on their own. They may already have a relationship. I'm assuming this is the person watching, and then you've either fallen for somebody in work and you're rebuffing everybody else. It makes me think you're very attractive and there's lots of people coming to you, or you may already have suitors already, but then you've got your eye on somebody else. That's what I'm thinking of. I'm going to have to go over that in a minute, and that's what I'm thinking of at the moment. And then it goes on to the story, Hopes and Dreams. Dante falls blindly in love with Beatrice. She doesn't know it and then weds another. And it helps him creatively. So she marries Eros. This has got something to do with Eros here. And Eros, to me, when I've looked at it in people's charts, it's almost, well, not almost, but sometimes it's a real passionate drive, and it feels like Pluto. If you have planets, big planets that transit and hit off your Eros, it is as strong as Pluto. You're almost blinded. And then a lot of the time you're in a relationship or put into a relationship where you can't get close to them. So it makes you revert back to yourself and use that passion for something else. So that one's quite easy for me. So there's you, very attractive, very much doing something, going along with things, and then you've either fallen for somebody that you can't get close to. And it's almost as if that passion that is building inside you is you need to channel it. You need to channel it into something else. And this is part of your story. This person that you've met, or that you will meet, is a sort of it's supposed to ignite your passion inside you, and that's their job. It gives me a feeling as well of time. There's some feeling of time here, as if it's going to go on quite a while and you're still trying to get close to this person. But the time that you're away from them or that you can't get close to them, you don't realise how much you're changing. And I've said this in a reading not long ago. It's almost as if you become your best self because you see yourself through somebody else's eyes. Something that you're meant to do before you settle into a long-term relationship, and this person is there to make you do it before it's time to settle down. And it's going to feel hard. It's going to feel like you are basically going up a mountain without oxygen, because you've got the Princess of Swords is quite a tough card. It's quite intellectual, so it makes me think of like a business sense here, because she looks as if she's died. What does she look like? Well, she doesn't look like she's eating peanuts in front of the TV. She looks like she's dressed up to do something. And then you've got the Emperor card here, which is a hard-hitting card. It's hard work, it's Aries, it's Capricorn, it's striving. And then you've got the Ten of Wands here. So that striving is hard work. It is hard work. It feels like you are going up a hill without oxygen. So the person who you fall for is there to teach you to be your best self before you actually get together. So if there's something that you need to do that's been nipping away, and it's so much easier to be in a relationship because it would just feel nice, and you're wondering why you can't get there, you may have your eye on somebody already, you may have already slept with this person already. I do think you're very attractive. I think you've got lots of people after you anyway, but I wonder whether you've got your eyes set on somebody already, or this is going to happen in the future. I don't know. But you've got to be something else before you have this relationship. I have got a friend. It's not really a friend, it's somebody a lot closer than a friend, but I don't want to put names in. And she said, I was asking her, what should I do for a reading today? And she said, well, do something for single people, because sometimes they can feel as if they're left out. And she said that she had this dream about swimming, very much this, of like swimming at the channel and being on her own and being really sad because she's on her own, because she's like wondering why hasn't she had a relationship yet, which is, something that we talk about quite a bit. And she said, and then it was almost as if like somebody was watching her and said, you've got to swim this on your own, you've got to swim this on your own. And she knew it was to do with relationships. This is exactly the same feeling. It's as if you've got a journey to do before you have that relationship. Your last card, magic, is self-development and growth. Merlin fell in love with Vivian. I'm going to say Vivian, it's Vivian. And she used the spells that she had been shown by Merlin on him to make him fall in love. Yeah, okay. You have got to progress until you have the something or other, skills, confidence, knowledge, self-awareness, and that's going to be the hook that pulls a person that you want. And I don't know if you know this person yet. And there's a waiting period. There's a waiting period, and then what I'm going to say is taking a different tack with regards to, it makes me feel that you may have somebody in mind, and that may be this person. You can't be together because that is the reason. Well, if you were chatting before you came down to earth, if this type of thing happens, I think it does, you're chatting, your boyfriend or girlfriend will be saying to you, I'm going to come into your life and we're going to want to be together, but we can't do it. And the reason that we can't do it is because you'd relax and it's not your time. You've got to be independent. You've got to get your self-confidence together. And then what will happen is that it will feel as if it's all on hold. You've got to take a different tack to what you think you can do with your life. There's something you've got to do, and there's something you're not allowed to relax with this person, whoever it is, whether you've met them or not, until you've basically swam the channel. or you've got to the top of Kilimanjaro without oxygen, and that's what it's going to feel like. It makes me think of somebody in numerology who has who's number one, or somebody who has quite a lot of 10th house planets. It's a path you have to take for you to expand yourself in so many different ways: self-worth, independence, knowledge, information, how to work. This sounds awful. How to work really hard. It's kind of it makes me cry. And then at the end, then that's when you will meet this person, or that's when you'll be allowed to settle with this person that you may have your eye on already. So it's as if you've basically got trials and tribulations. It's very much the story of Eros. It's like passing tests until you can get the person that you want to be with. So it's a nice pile. It just is like hard work till you get there. But you wouldn't be the person you're going to be at the end of it if you just had this love relationship land in your lap now. Which to me is fantastic. But I've got my camera on, yeah. Pisces. So how Pisces Virgo feel. Which I didn't get. I don't think is you. Okay, right. Par number 3. I'm going to finish there. It's just to give you a sort of basic picture of, I don't know whether you feel this already or whether you're in a relationship, but just a flow of possibility of things and how they can progress in your life. And why, if you can't get close to somebody, there's a reason why, and it's for you to, I'm not going to say stand on your own 2 feet, because it's not like like that type of feeling. It's for you to become your best self, which sounds really corny, but it's for you to be something independently. That's such a word. Because you may not think that you need it now, but it's for you to be able to stand on your own 2 feet. I don't say that, I just said it again. And have that independence and that feeling of self-worth, and that do you know what I'm thinking of? No, I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it. You've just got to take a different line. It's not going to be the straight line. It's not going to be the easiest line for you. It's going to be the playing the long game. Playing the long game line, I think. Right, pan number 3. I'm going to stop there. I don't know if that helps or hinders you, but let me know in the comments section. And good luck with yourself on this one, to be honest. At least you know everybody's after you already. At least you know that everybody fancies you, and it's just hard work. And just, if you've got lots of fire in you, it's the type of thing you want to hear because it's a challenge. And then you get the person, or you're with the person that just feels right. But it's as if you've got your work cut out until then. Sorry. Right, pan number 3. I'm going to leave you with that. Thank you very much, and I hope to see you again. Bye.